amazing pleasure. And these days, it's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance. But I have to be careful, however, to understand that this will be the first time in the history of this event where jokes will be fact-checked, and they will be. All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote.
Place for you.
That was very quick.
Yes. Hi, Mr. President. How are you? Good to see you. Come get my
Mr. President,
we'll sit you right here in the
sit
middle.
right over here. I'm the official audio guy for today. You have, Mr. President, welcome back.
You have so many jammers with you, we can't even use.
I know, we have to use these hard lines.
Let's put it right here, like that.
Okay.
Very good.
Good job.
Wow.
All right,
Glad you're here.
and we'll all sit down. 3, 2, 1. There we go. How are you?
I'm good. This is very nice.
Big night last night.
I've never sat in the middle.
It's great, right?
always
I don't think
sat
anyone,
over-
It's a
no
first.
one sat in the middle.
I've never seen anybody sitting in
You've
the
got the
middle.
really good light.
This is good lighting. How do we look? Oh, not so good.
Mr. President, don't you always do that first? The biggest interview, the smallest, the first thing you look at, you grab the lights, you go, move that pole over, you come over here.
You're a producer.
Lighting is very important. No, let's turn down the lights. No, I'm only
Well, what did you think of last night? What did you think of last
I
night?
thought it was great. I thought, it was for the Catholic Church, really, and for a lot of good people, a lot of good causes. And unusually, she didn't show up. You would have thought she would have shown up last night. You were surprised. We were all surprised. But they told me it's only teleprompter for the comedian. I said, give me the comedian. No, I didn't get, so I had to do it sort of like, and I liked it better. I think I liked it better. But, when I went, I said, is this a teleprompter speech? And I had a pretty long speech. And they said, so we don't use teleprompter. Then I get up there and see the comedian using it. And he was good, too, by the way.
Jim Gaffigan's funny.
I thought he was good, yeah.
You know, Kamala Harris did not show up, as you know.
Yeah,
She sent a video from Saturday Night Live. We have seen historically a lot of Democrats, they turn to the guys at Saturday Night Live or The Tonight Show. They write all their material. Your material was real funny. Who wrote it? Who helped you with it?
Well, I've had a lot of people helping. A couple of people from Fox, actually. I shouldn't say that, but they wrote some jokes. And for the most part, I didn't like any of them. But I got
Did you see some highlights? I think you did great.
Go ahead.
Watch. Roll tape.
Catholic Church, you're helping the poor, educating children, and supporting the vulnerable. But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here. Guaranteed. It's a true pleasure to be with you this evening. Amazing pleasure. And these days, it's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance. Anytime I don't get a subpoena, I'm very happy. But unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was. But I have to be careful, however, to understand that this will be the first time in the history of this event where jokes will be fact-checked, and they will be. All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be, But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer.
That
Mr.
was
President,
That was funny.
you had a balance because you got to tell these jokes, but you're sitting next to people that don't like you at all.
Chuck Schumer's
so how
right
was
there.
that?
I know him very well. I guess he doesn't but he likes me enough. It's a little bit, it's hard to explain. I gave him his first check. When he was young, I was young. It was his first check. I don't know, is that good or bad? But it was the first check that he ever got. He was running for, I think, Assembly up in New York. And he got it from me. So
we should blame you for the rise of Chuck Schumer.
Right.
It's all on
blame me
you.
for
Right.
Defeating Al
What?
It
Capone.
was New York.
What did Mayor Adams say to you? Because he's a Democrat, you're a Republican, but you can relate because of these subpoenas.
Yeah.
Letitia James, she was in the back row.
The weaponization. No, look, I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone, I say it. But Adams, he came out against the immigrants, against the destruction of New York, frankly. He did the right thing. I said, he will be indicted within 6 months. And he was. They indicted him. Now, I don't know if it's legit. I haven't looked at it, but it seems very suspicious when he comes out against something they're doing. They're destroying the country. They are destroying our country. He was right. I go down the streets of New York. I went down the streets of New York 2 days ago, and I'm looking at migrants all over Madison Avenue, all over Fifth Avenue. I've never seen anything like it. I'll tell you, I've never seen, this is New York. You see empty stores. You never saw empty stores on Madison Avenue. You never see them. It's a shame. He did the right thing, but he got indicted, and they play weaponization. These are an evil group of people. These are really a bad group of people. I'm doing well with my stuff. I won in Florida. I'm winning all over the place. But, you know, what they want to do is keep him busy. Let me spend plenty of money fighting it and let him maybe. But I think so far it's backfired because the public understands. The win in Florida, that was the big case. That was the case, oh, you're going to lose. Now, he actually lost because he had documents, but he didn't have the presidential.
The documents case in Florida.
It was the documents case. That was, like, they say the big one. I don't know what's the big one, but the big one. And we had a very brilliant judge, a very fair judge, and I won the case. I won the whole thing. He didn't win. They said he was grossly incompetent, and based on that, they're not going to charge him. But the funny is, he can be president, but he can't go to court. They say he can't go to court because he's incompetent. So he can't go to court, so that's okay, but he's allowed to be president. So there's something wrong with our country when that happens. But I thought last night's it was
great.
I think it was terrible that she missed it because it's only been one person missed it in many years, and that's Walter Mondale, and he lost 49-1.
But let me ask you, why do you think she missed it?
God was not with her.
Mr. President, why do you think she missed it? There's a lot of theories.
Okay, I think that she's not competent. I don't want to say this kind of stuff, but we can't live with this. We're not going to be able to live with it.
So you don't think she's funny?
I don't think she's funny. I don't look, her staff, she's got 5% of her staff stayed with her, 95% quit. If that happened to me, I'd be front page of nobody likes her, nobody wants to be with her. And I only say this, I don't like even saying it, but we can't have her as a president. She's a Marxist. We're not ready for a Marxist. Do you agree with that, Nancy?
I do agree with you.
I think a Marxist.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
And she's not very good, let's face it.
Closing argument time, because we're only 2.5 weeks until the election. So this is the final, this is it. So she realized, joy, that's not working for them. So now they've changed it. Now they're ramping up their rhetoric. And when she sat down with Bret Baier, she said, talking about you, he's unstable. When she was speaking at a rally in Erie, Pennsylvania, she called you unstable and unhinged. And then in this new ad that they've rolled out, she's saying unhinged, more unstable, and unchecked. And then this caller that called into Charlemagne the God, his Breakfast Club show, this caller says, I have a sneaking suspicion that if Trump wins, he's going to use this law to put anyone that doesn't look white in camps. And I'm scared. And she says, yeah. So you've hit on a really important point. What is your response and what is your closing argument?
Well, first of all, the question is a pretty rough question because, you're giving this whole argument of this woman that I don't think she knows where she is. She's a low IQ person. She's not smart. Everyone knows that. Didn't even pass her law exam. It was a big thing. She never thought she was going to be able to pass it. If you tell me this stuff, I'll say it. I am a person that they are a threat to democracy. These people are misinformation people. They'll say, let's go out with this one. They've tried many different things. They tried, he's a dictator. He's going to take over the whole world. He's a this. Every week they try something else. So far it hasn't worked. I guess that's the attack they have for this week. It doesn't seem to be working. I am the most stable human being. Remember they said a stable genius. I am the most stable human being. I've been doing this for a long time. We had 4 years of greatness. We had the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest border. Brian, you were down there.
Absolutely.
We had a border that was the best we've ever had in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. I built 551 miles of wall, which is far more than I said I was going to build when I campaigned. I had a border where the drugs were at the lowest level, the human traffickers in women, they traffic in women. Everything was at the lowest level. I got kudos from, the Border Patrol gave me, with thousands of people, unanimous, every single one.
They endorsed you, Mr. President.
They endorsed me. What can you do better than that?
And, Mr. President, you're gaining with minorities. And, I've been going across the country to these barbershops. Yesterday, you said you wanted to go. So we went to the Bronx yesterday. Here's a little bit of what we saw at the barbershop.
You guys are the same as me. It's the same stuff. We were born the same way. I grew up in Queens and all of that. I mean, you know, it's. I had a great father. I had a father who was a great guy. He was tough but good, big heart, big heart. And he was a construction guy, pretty much, and a real estate guy. And I learned a lot from him. He was great. But I know you people so well without knowing you. I know you so well. When I walked in here, I said, this is home territory.
So, Mr. President, we're going to play the full thing on Monday, but what was that experience like? There was so much love in the room.
It was like people that I grew up with, actually. You know, all different types, everything perfect. The area was incredible. The traffic, there were thousands and many thousands of people standing outside this barbershop. The owner was great with the son. The son is actually the owner. He's already made that passage. But the people were fantastic. We could have stayed there for 2 hours, right? It was great.
Why do you think they're giving you a shot? They haven't voted for Republicans in years like this. So what are you doing on the ground differently that's attracting black men, Hispanic men?
Right. I just saw a Hispanic poll where I'm at 52%. Nobody's ever seen that before. Republicans never been there before. I'm at 52%. And with black men, I'm at 32% and 31%. This is sort of throwing their formulas off a little bit. You know, this is a little bit of a change. But look, we ran a great country. We had everything going. The world respected us. We had no wars. This group will cause us World War III. They have no idea what they're doing. And you know, I hate to talk that way, but we can't let this woman get in. It's two people, and she's and you talk about unstable. She's a whack job. And how about the vice president? How about Waltz? I mean, he's not qualified to be doing this. He is. I mean, you have to look at the vice president very seriously. And you compare him and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, #1 at Yale, you know, the whole thing. I mean, high academic, I mean, J.D. is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, and he was with us on the yesterday. Joined us from the Washington D.C. area. One of the things about Fox and Friends, we've been doing the show for like 28 years, but one of the biggest days was the day you became president, and we actually got to do the very first interview at the White House after you were sworn in, and it was a great interview, and it made a lot of news. Ainsley asked a great question in 2017, and we're gonna get in the Wayback Machine, Mr. President. We're gonna play that for you, and then we're gonna update the question.
But you know the difference? In the old days, you never played negative ads. In other words, when I leave here, I'll then be hit by 5 or 6 ads. And in the old days, you never had Ian
Fox
Sams.
News.
Yeah, well, in the old days. But in the old days, which wasn't so. When I leave, I'll have 12 people from Kamala on, and you know, pretty much unopposed. For 19 days, I don't think we should do that anymore. I think you shouldn't play negative ads. It's very tough. You do a show, and I complain all the time about it. I love complaining. I like to have everything perfect. But when I leave here, I'll have 200 people from
because they buy time on Fox.
And, you know, by the time you do it, you say, "What are you doing?" It's sort of a net, net neutral. Well, we'll see what happens.
This is not an ad. This is actually, here we are in the East Room of the White House. Your president, 2017. Ainsley's got a great question for you. Watch this.
What grade would you give yourself from an A to an F?
Well,
I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, let's hear it. I think, no, I wouldn't do that. I think in terms of effort, which means something, but I give myself an A+. Okay, effort, but that's, you know, results are more important. In terms of messaging, I would give myself a C or a C+.
And that surprised us. So here we are, years later. I don't remember those young people right there.
I know.
What kind of a grade would you give yourself for the campaign thus far? You got 2.5 more weeks.
So look, I've had 3 campaigns, and I won the first one. I did much better in the second one, getting millions more votes. And this one, I can say there's more enthusiasm, and we had a lot of enthusiasm for both. You know, I won. We got 10 to 12 million votes more the second time, which is a lot. Never happened before. I think this is the best campaign.
A for effort?
Oh, for effort.
What about for?
Nobody works.
What about for the message?
I think I have to go higher than an A.
So what about messaging?
Well, message, I'll have to tell you that in, you know, on the 6th, I think.
All about results.
Because I don't know. I think it's all about results. I mean, the message, I think I'm saying, look, The message is we're going to do a great job. We're not going to get into wars. We're not going to have a third world war. So importantly, we're going to have a strong border. We're going to have the greatest economy. We're going to bring back the economy. We're not going to have inflation. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get energy prices down at least 50% in 1 year.
Right.
And I'll put that on your show so you can interview me in a year if I don't do it. But we're going to bring energy prices down. That's going to bring the inflation and the cost down. Now, we're going to make this thing really good. We're going to bring a lot of companies back in to the U.S. Jobs are going to be good. Everything is going to be good. And everything was good when we had the greatest economy in the history of the country 5 years ago. Go back in. 5 years ago, we had the greatest economy in the history of the country. And now we have a horrible economy from the standpoint that inflation ruined. I had no inflation. Inflation ruined the economy, just ruined it. And I gave them inflation-free. I gave them almost no inflation. And it carried on for 2 years. And then they went out and borrowed like $7 trillion, which was so stupid to do. And when they borrowed that, it all blew up. The other thing they did is they blew up the energy policy. I had the best energy policy this country's ever had. We were energy independent. We will soon be energy independent and energy dominant. We'll be selling all over the world.
So I watched your Univision, your Univision town hall, and one thing stood out to me. They said, one of the questions was, hey, what would you like to do again? What would you do different? He goes, well, I probably wouldn't have hired some of the people I hired. So I want to just look forward. So as people have 18 days, they're going to vote. And as Jim Gaffigan said, I can't believe anybody's undecided at this point.
I know.
But let's say votes. Can you give people, that was a great line. Can you give people a vision of what your cabinet will look like? Can you throw out some of the names? Because you don't need a binder from Chris Christie or Jared Kushner. You know it. So can you give people out there who you're going to be making a rough, you could easily punt on this question, I hope you won't, an idea of what your team will look like?
Well, a lot of the people that you had last night will be a part of it. We had some tremendous people. In that room really had some great people.
Wait, Cardinal Dolan?
Oh, I'd put him in, right?
Right?
Honestly, and he looked good. He lost weight. He looked nice and thin. I said,
He's the
what are you
nicest
doing?
guy, isn't he?
Right? No, he's a great guy. And that's why I did it to a large... You know, by the way, he called me during COVID and he said the Catholic Church needs billions of dollars to keep the school going. And the schools are, you know, they run great schools. And I got him the money during COVID.